Okay. It's Office Journal right here on Smooth 98.1, where we love music, we love life, we love you and your productivity. We also want you to get ahead in your career and, of course, let your business be bigger, your organization better. And that's why we bring on these programs and as well the guests that we have to do justice to the topic. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for choosing Smooth 98.1. My name is Oluwaseun. 2 minutes past 11 o'clock from our studio. It's 20th of June, 2023, a Tuesday. And we are set to discuss the topic of understanding public relations, which is PR. So what it is and what it is not. What will PR do for you? What it will not do for you? And some other misconceptions surrounding PR, as well as PR crisis. Of course, we're not going to end that conversation without telling you what to do in time of a PR crisis. And I do have someone I can call a PR mama in the, no, not in the studio. She's joining me via Zoom. She's a PR guru, actually, a public relations and communications professional and in charge of PR fusions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome virtually Blessing Emmanuel-Macaulay. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheung.
Thank you for joining me this morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure, because I can't wait for more people to understand what PR is about and not confuse it with some other things or automatically think it will do magic for their business when they set out. But I'm sure you can't wait to get into this conversation as well. So getting into the definition, the basic definition of what PR is, what exactly is public relations?
Okay, so simply put, public relations is telling your brand story in a way that is interesting and understandable to your target audience. Of course, there are different ways to tell your brand story. There are different tactics that you can employ, but overall, you have to tell the story in such a way that your audience understands it, they can relate to it, and they can, most importantly, connect with it. Let's say it's the business of selling emotions over products or services. It is selling my feelings to you. So instead of me to sell, say, a bottle of Coke, for instance, I want to sell the fact that it's refreshing, the fact that, you see a Coke advert, and the first thing I want to do is just spend my money on a Coke, on a bottle of Coke.
Make sure you're not mentioning the brand names, because it will be sending you the invoice.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you see that drink and it looks so inviting, and the first thing you want to do is just splurge on it because it just looks inviting, right? That's essentially what PR is. Of course, it can be mixed up. It can be interwoven with advertising, but overall, it's selling the emotion so that people can relate with the emotion, they can connect to it, and then it makes it easier for them to purchase whatever it is you're selling.
Now that you touched on it, I'd like to establish, if at all, there is a difference between advertising and public relations. Is there any difference? And if it can be interwoven, is public relation a bigger umbrella, or is advertising a subset of public relation, or are they interchangeable?
Okay, so they both belong to a particular subset. They fall under promotion in the marketing communications side of things. So it's basically both of them are marketing tools, but depending on what your goal is, right, you can decide which of them you want to use. Now, advertising is better to drive sales. Public relations is more of impact, more of connecting. So while advertising is paid for, public relations is more organic. So the brand just got a free review from me. That's public relations. because they've been able to connect with me. However, that brand would probably still spend some money on buying billboards. Paying for the billboards is advertising. Paying for a radio slot, like you just wanted to bill me, is advertising, basically. But
Oh,
of
that
course,
is. Mhm.
I think it's also important to clarify that as much as people, there's the understanding that public relations is organic, it's still not free, right? You still have to spend some money on public relations, because I certainly do not want somebody coming after me to say, oh, I heard you say public relations is not advertising,
Organic.
so you don't pay for it. Yes, you would actually spend some money on public relations, because you have to spend money to build or to create the feeling or the emotions that you want people to connect with in relation to your brand.
Okay, not a digression, but it's sort of a digression still. I think it is on the path of trying to understand better what public relation is. Cruz on WhatsApp says, what about doing giveaway? Does it qualify as public relations?
Yes, I would say it qualifies as public relations.
So
It qualifies
basic,
as
okay.
public relations. But when the purpose of a thing is not known, there's a high chance that it will be abused. And so we have a giveaway culture where somebody is depending on somebody for something else, and bros, just give me urgent 2K and this and that. And that's okay. It's great for building a relationship with people, right? But is it sustainable, right? Whatever your public relations tactic is, has to be sustainable. So this giveaway that you're doing, can you continue doing giveaways? For how long? If you're giving away 10,000 naira today, are you going to do the same thing tomorrow? Are you going to do it next month? Is it enough to sustain your audience interest? That's what's important.
Okay, thank you. At least for the clarity that advertising is towards sales, product sales, most likely. And then PR is more towards publicity and I guess brand awareness, right?
And building relationships, very
And
important.
building relationship. Thank you very much. Okay, going forward now, talking about PR, who needs PR? Who needs to be intentional about their PR, be it organic or you are spending any amount of money on it? Who needs it?
So I like to say that everybody needs PR. And I'm quite okay, I'm trying to choose my words here. So
Okay.
everybody needs PR, right? From the person that is, you're a radio presenter, you certainly need PR. I am a PR person, but I need PR. And I'll tell you, as much as I'm a PR person, I'm still not it's still important that I build the right relationships with the right people, right? So all of those, the little efforts that go into building these relationships are organic PR efforts, right? The startups need PR, the big organizations need PR. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not think that they need PR until there's a crisis. And like you said, we'll get there. But before you get to that, before that crisis happens, because nobody's immune to a crisis. It can happen to anybody. And sometimes you can plan for it. Sometimes it announces itself, depending on who you are, depending on what you do, depending on your industry. I mean, there are some industries that certainly are very prone to certain kinds of crisis. So they certainly, or they should have a crisis plan, a crisis communication plan for when the crisis happens. But beyond that, I like to say everybody needs PR, so that it puts like a guide rail to building the right relationships. I mean, you'd see people that put out stuff on social media, and you wonder what's going on here. Did you not put in some thought into this content before you put it out? So let's say that person had a PR person, for instance, either as a friend or as a consultant. It'd be easy to say, oh, my friend, I'm about to put this stuff up. What do you think about it? Help me look at it from your perspective as a PR person. And then you'd even see that it's possible to prevent or avoid, to a very large extent, avoid being dragged on the internet because of what you said or didn't say by just having a PR person.
All right, thank you for further breaking it down. So let's go again a bit further. You have touched on it. I'll just like it to be fully expanded on. So let's say somebody listens to you now and agrees that everybody needs a PR. They have a business, whatever business it is that they run, and they say, we want to get a PR team. So what are the things that those people, I am assuming that the PR consultants will know their job, but for someone who is a layman and has no idea of all the jargons and the things that will be set up, so in the team, what will their job description look like? And what are some of the things that will be expected from the department? You mentioned something like checking your social media post, language, and all of that stuff. So what are some of those practical things?
Okay, so it's also very dependent on what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve. With every brief and with every client, my first responsibility as a PR professional is to understand what you want to achieve. And once I know what you want to achieve, it helps me with putting together a strategy to helping you achieve those things. Now, as a business or as an individual, a personal brand, for instance, that wants to work with a PR professional, you want to pay attention to what they have done, what brands have they worked with, what their results look like, what their case studies have been, and also pay attention to, are they able to walk you through how to actually get to where you are headed, right? It's very possible these days for anybody to say, I'm a PR person. And we see that a lot because you happen to have quite a number of followers. You automatically want to address yourself as a PR person. And I mean, we have a problem with those kind of people because it just kind of waters down what we do. I mean, we have put in a lot of work to understand what this public relations thing is about. We have put in a lot of effort to get the experience and to also even deliver good work. We don't want anybody coming to water down what we have done by saying I'm a PR person and then ending up delivering just a shoddy job to the person that needs it. Unfortunately, when that happens, it becomes I've worked with PR people and they are not, I mean, I've not seen the best of them. They're just wearing a mask or something. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So what's very important is asking the person, whoever you choose to work with, is what is your strategy to get me from where I currently am to where I'm headed? Strategy is an important part of what we do, right? If there's no strategy, if it's not put together, if it's not documented, we don't have a blueprint to deliver on what you want us to deliver on. We can just throw in this and throw in that. And I mean, anybody can possibly throw in this and that, but with a strategy, we're looking at the different ways to achieve your goal, the different ways to connect your brand to your customers or your target audience. We're not fixated with just media relations. And I mean, no offense to you and to other media practitioners, but often media practitioners say that they are PR experts. And that they often say that because they are certain that they can get media relations. And I say that's not what PR is about. PR is not just about media relations. Media relations is just one aspect of it. What of the event? What of the speaking engagement? What of the awards, right? What of the community
Visibility?
relations? What did you say?
I said visibility.
Yes. So there's so much, right? And we unfortunately we can't possibly even streamline our jobs to this is what it is, right? Because we're always looking out for our clients. We're looking out for how can I help you achieve your goal, even regardless of what we have even put in the strategy. Yes, we have this strategy guiding us, But of course, if we get another opportunity that we can easily fit into the strategy that will help us reach your goal, we want to jump on it, we want to bring it in for you. And then we're looking at all of those angles. So a media, a PR professional has to be able to have this blueprint that shows you, this is how I'm going to take you from here to where you're going. So you have to pay attention to that as a business owner, so that you do not just spend your money on influencer marketing in the name of public relations.
Thank you. You touched on it. We will come back to it. Influencer marketing. There is no way we're going to end this conversation without talking about it. In fact, I will revert to that after taking a number of comments. But if you want to send in your messages, you can send it to 0809-444-0981. Again, 0809-444-0981. That's the WhatsApp line. While you can call 01-448-9981. Maybe you're just joining us. You have a question in your mind that's touching the topic of PR, what it is and not. You can ask your questions. And my guest is Blessing Emmanuel-Macaulay. She is a PR and communications professional. So on WhatsApp, Cruz says, how do we distinguish between PR and corruption? We're people that are heavily influenced by giving. When you want to get things done, you strongly feel like I need to give something. Somehow I feel you have addressed that, but is there anything you'd like to say to that?
Okay. PR is not corruption. I need to say that. PR is, the foundation of PR is on building relationship with the right stakeholders. And I like to look at it this way. If you were going to visit, if you were introduced to somebody, a wealthy man who had the potential to maybe help do something, to maybe create the right connections for you to leverage and then move your business to the next level, you were going to visit him, how would you go? Would you just go empty-handed? Right? Like Cruz rightly pointed out, we have a culture of giving, right? You're going there, you certainly want to go with a bottle of wine or something. It's not corruption, it's not bribery, it's relationship building. It's just like saying, oh, Seun, you're my friend, you're in the media. I want to take you out on a date. Let's just go and hang out. Let's have drinks. Let's be friends. I don't have to give you money. Right. I'm just hanging out with you. And for what it is worth, we could just talk about everything and anything at all, from relationships to religion to politics and all that. Right. The essence of that is we're building a relationship. So it's not corruption, and public relations is not in any way related to corruption. Public relations is about relationship building and knowing how best to build the relationships. Of course, sometimes money has to exchange hands. If you were going for a community relations engagement, for instance, if you were going to build a borehole in a rural community, you would certainly factor in the fact that you'd most likely have the Omonilers come to say, oh, this is our community, you can't just do anything without settling us and all of that stuff. Because of our environment, because of where we are, there are some things that you would need to just guard against, right? And as much as it sounds like I'm getting into Cruz's trap, I'm just going to just wrap it up with, it's about building relationships, and you need to know how best to build a relationship. Some relationships will be built on giveaway, as a matter of fact, right? But it has to eventually help you get to your goal. And like I said, public relations is not free. It is relationship building, it is organic, but it has to help you get to your goal. And that's what's important.
Hopefully, you're not bruised from the trap that crews seem to have set, but it's okay. Looks like in some cases, you just have to eat it. It is a case of give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And well, the truth is, when you mentioned something, when you started by saying if you go to meet someone, you are expected to give, maybe, not come empty-handed. Truth is, it is courtesy, not even before you even extend to PR, it is courtesy, which is one of the things we have talked about here on Office Journal before, that there are some etiquette, some things that surround business, and of course different aspects. So please, if you're trying to seek the favor of someone, you're trying to build a relationship, a mutually benefiting relationship. You can't announce yourself as a parasite. So yeah, even the good book says a man's gift will make way for him. All
Amen.
right. There is John Odubiyi from Igondo, who says, is there a relationship between PR and marketing? Ooh, I guess you're just tuning in. And then he further says, how does PR increase sales or income? Thank you. Okay, I'm guessing John just tuned in, but for the sake of John and every other person who is just tuning in, can you quickly run over it again, the difference between, or the relationship between PR and marketing, and what PR will do for you?
Okay, so PR is just a part of marketing. It's PR is I would say marketing is the umbrella, and marketing is the mother. PR is one of its children. And PR is used for promotion, basically. How does it help you generate sales? You can't want to generate sales in isolation of you can't use PR in isolation to generate sales. And that is the truth, as much as people don't want to hear it or people don't want to believe it. Our work as PR professionals is not to help you generate sales. Our work is to ensure that you're communicating the right things with or passing the right messages to your target audience, so that you're able to build a long-term and a sustainable relationship with your target audience. Now, when you're able to do that, you can leverage advertising to bring in sales. You can even leverage sales itself by getting a sales manager or having a sales department to help you put in the work. But as part of a promotional strategy, public relations helps you to increase your brand's visibility. It helps you build credibility and trust with your target audience, so that they have already seen your brand somewhere. They've already seen your brand endorsed by the media, for instance, and they know for this person to have been endorsed by the media, or for this person to have been featured by the media, it means that this person has something tangible. We can trust this person. And then they encounter your brand and say, okay, we have come in contact with your brand in the media before. Now I see your product on the shelf. Okay, maybe I'll be willing to try it. And then that way you can now begin to make sales. But primarily, public relations core function is not sales. It's about giving you credibility, helping you build trust for your brand, helping you build the right relationships, and of course, helping you gain visibility for your brand as well.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, I'd like us to get started on the discussion of influencer marketing. It has seen a surge and a rise in recent times. So you'll give us your take on influencer marketing, as well as some advantages as well as disadvantages. And if you're looking at having influencer marketing as part of your marketing strategy, some of the things that you should expect. You're listening to Office Journal right here on Smooth 98.1. We are talking about public relations, which is PR, what it is and not. You can send your questions to WhatsApp 0809-444-0981. Just stay with us.
This is Mr. C, and you're listening to Smooth 98.1.
So we have just some seconds break and we'll be back.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Insurance. The Money Beat Show is for financially.
Bruce says he wasn't setting a trap.
Key financial lessons from contemporary.
into the Morning Beat Show every Friday from 5:15 to 5:45 p.m. All mutual insurance. Two great things every day.
All right, we are back. Thank you for listening to us and choosing Smooth 98.1. You're listening to Office Journal. My name is Oluwaseun. We're talking about understanding public relations, and my guest is Blessing Emmanuel-Macaulay. And we have been at this since 11 o'clock. You're welcome to join us and send in your questions if you have any. You can also call 014489981. You can also join the live stream on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Drop your questions there if you have any. And if you would like to share the link with your boss, your colleagues, your friends, business partner, please go right ahead. And if you want to stream live via the website, it is www.smooth981.fm. For you who's trying to get out of your car and away from your radio set, you can stream live and you do not have an excuse. So going back to it, I said influencer marketing has seen a rise in recent times. So I want to assume that someone has an idea of what influencer marketing is. It is literally influencer marketing. But what is your take on it?
Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, public relations is one big umbrella under marketing as well. So public relations, under public relations, you have media relations, you have events, speaking engagement, you also have influencer marketing. And influencer marketing is one sure way to increase your brand visibility. And what's important in influencer marketing is that it integrates nicely with your public relations strategy, because it's a sure way to amplify your brand. If you have a relationship with this influencer, that if for instance, one top influencer with 1 million followers happens to be your brother, you certainly want to leverage your relationship with him to promote your business. But what is important is that he's not promoting your business in isolation. He's not just saying, my brother sells bottled water, right? He is actually trying to connect with his audience through your own brand messaging, right? It's the messages that your influencer is passing across must be relevant for your brand, must be relevant to improving your visibility, must be relevant to helping you connect with your brand. So it shouldn't be done in isolation. It's a great tactic for amplifying what you do, for amplifying your brand, for amplifying your product and services. It is fantastic, but it should not be done in isolation of your PR strategy. I mean, a lot of us pay influencers to say, just promote my product or service. And it's okay to promote your product or service, but it should align with your PR strategy. So that PR strategy should have a segment for influencers. So with media relations, with speaking engagements, everything else, there's somewhere for influencers. What do you want influencers to do? Do you want them to be able to use their fan base to get people to download your app? Do you want them to be able to use their fan base to get people to go back to your page and like your page or comment on something? What's important is there has to be a relationship. You also need to bear in mind that when you're choosing an influencer, you're not choosing an influencer because the person just has the large numbers. You're choosing an influencer because that person is relevant to your brand. They have the same brand values. They speak the same brand language. You don't want to use a use a fashion influencer to influence your food business, right?
Well, people do that these days.
People do that, but it's wrong. Certainly, they're not working with PR professionals. If they're working with PR professionals, the PR professional would advise against it. It doesn't now mean that when PR professionals advise that people entirely go with our advice. But if you don't go with our advice, it's unfortunately that's a disservice to you, because you're paying us to actually tell you the right things to do. So you need to be patient enough to understand that we're telling you the right thing to do, and you're actually going to do those things so that you can see desired results. But yeah, like I said, there's no need telling a fashion influencer to influence your food business or your app that's not even related to fashion. If you had a fashion app, certainly tell the fashion influencer to influence your fashion app and let them tell a story that actually would make people want to download the app. People connect to stories. That's why I keep talking about telling a story. People connect better with stories. They would remember a story over a sales copy, right? So there needs to be something that is there for them, that is connecting with their emotions, that's connecting with their feelings, so that they can actually engage with your product or service or download the app that you want them to download.
Thank you. When I mention that people still do these things, it's because of many things I see on social media. It's as if, they don't really care about what you do. They just, as long as you have the numbers and you have the eyeballs, because you see someone in a particular field, this is me trying not to mention names, influencing for products that have no business. And you see one person influencing for about 1,001 products that are so not related. And you're wondering, what happened to you? Do you even have any brand integrity, or what are your values? What do you stand for? But apparently, a number of people need to understand better this PR thing. And you mentioned earlier, which I said I was going to recap on, that the PR professional will most likely help you with the goal you already have. So in other words, just to double check, in other words, before you employ a PR professional, the vision must be clear to you. What you want to achieve must be clear to you. The person just comes to help you achieve it, right?
That's correct. So you have to, if you don't know what you want, it's hard for a PR professional to help you, right? So we have discovery calls, and during the discovery calls, we want to know what you want to achieve. If you don't know what you want to achieve, we may be able to give you an idea, because we also understand what's obtainable in the industry. We also understand the economic climes and all those things. So we may be able to guide or give you an idea what's possible. But it's very important that you know what you want to do. I mean, we've had situations where somebody says, "Oh, I just want media relations." So I'll give an example. Someone reached out to us and said, I want media relation. I want to launch my product, and this is what I want to achieve, and that's what I want to achieve. And I had to be honest with the person. I said, as much as I want your money, what's important to me is that we're able to help you make the best use of your money. So I told the person, you have to go back to the drawing board to do this, and that, and to understand what you want to achieve. Because if you're not able to understand it, it's even hard for us to interpret. And once we can't interpret, we cannot give out the right messages. We can't craft the right messages for your business. We can't give out the right information about your business. We can't improve your brand visibility, as it were. We can't find the right stories that will connect to your target audience. So it's important that you know what you want to achieve from the get-go before you reach out to a PR professional. Know what you want to achieve, and then reach out to the person. The person may now be able to help you say, okay, I think you should make this slight adjustment here and make this slight adjustment there. I think you should tweak this, or I think you should take the back seat. I think you should go back and rethink your business model before coming to say, yes, you're ready to go live. And then once you're able to do that, you can be sure that you'll be getting you'll be getting the most value for just having that conversation, albeit an unpaid conversation, say a free consultation of some sort. You'll be getting the most value, and then you can now go back to say, okay, what exactly do I want to achieve? And once you're being able to figure that out, come back to the PR professional and then we can create a strategy and run with it.
Thank you. Wilson sends his regards via WhatsApp and also has a question for you. He says, can PR's consequential activities and goals be limited to certain aspects of the organization since they have to do with the organization's relationship with the public? He said, I understand the PR is key to the success of any organization. Are there criteria or qualities of those in PR that must be met before employing such persons? Because these people must be very careful since they are relating the company's overall scheme to the public. If there are conditions to be met or qualities that must be in place, can you please share them?
Okay, so yes, PR is very important to any organization's survival. So fundamental there are fundamental criteria that must be met. And one of those, as basic as it seems, is an understanding of the brand's official communication language. I mean, in Nigeria, we communicate in English. So if I were in France, for instance, I'd be talking about communicating in French. It's very important that you understand English as basic as it is. You understand the written version, you understand the spoken version, and you're able, because with understanding that, you're able to now develop messages for your clients to help them meet the target audience. So that's very important. Another skill that's important to have is creativity. You have to have creativity, and creativity means that you have to be able to think outside the box. Think outside the box, when there is enough space to go outside the box, and when you're inside the box, think within the box to be able to come out of it, right? So
what part do you break the box?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're sitting in the box, you have to think about it. And if thinking about it means that you have to break the box to come out of it, by all means, break the box. But I'm just trying to say that you have to be very creative, right? You also need to know how to write. I don't know if I mentioned it before. You need to know how to write. I mean, we write what now? Every day.
Copies? Oh, wow.
Every day. From writing communication plans to writing opinion pieces, to writing news reports, press releases, speeches. I mean, we write. So you have to know how to write. It's essential to our survival as public relations professionals, because I mean, that's one way that you can communicate effectively. You also need to be able to build relationships, because building relationships is important to the organization itself. It has to be able to build the right relationships with its target audience. And you, as a communications professional, have to also be able to build the right relationships with the right people that will help amplify the brand's messages. So relationship building is very important. There's also integrity, and integrity is I'm telling you that this is what it is, and that has to be what it is. Because it also, if my responsibility is to ensure that your brand is seen as credible and trustworthy, then I should also be trustworthy. I should be dependable, such that you can actually be sure that what I'm giving you is actually what is obtainable, right? And I think those are just the ones I mean, public relations has a low barrier to entry, thankfully, and unfortunately. Yes, it's mixed feelings, because it has a low barrier to entry. Anybody just wants to say I'm a public relations professional, but thankfully it has a low barrier to entry, and you can take online courses, free courses, paid courses. You can choose to intern with an organization. You can find a mentor and then be ready to give value so that you can also get value from them and all of that. So with doing all of that, it's possible for you to learn the skills. And of course, a lot of what we even find ourselves in corners where we probably have never been before. And then we have to try to navigate that corner and just make the most out of it. And so low barrier to entry, which means that anybody can actually be a public relations professional, sorry. But one very important part of our work is strategy. Like I said before, it is very important to have a public relations strategy for whatever you want to achieve. And I think I'll just wrap up with saying strategy is another thing to have. You must be able to create a communication strategy that is easy to be understood, can be understood by any other person in the organization that picks up that document and knows where the organization is headed, so that we can all be on the same page, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. In my own words, I would tell the audience what I have heard from what you have said. Number one, you cannot be a couch potato because you would need to go out, mingle with people, relate with people, set up meetings, not just for yourself, for your clients. So you cannot be a couch potato. Number two, you must learn how to write, and creative at writing. That is very important. Number three, PR, if you are going to be an excellent PR professional, it is almost not separate from your life in the case of integrity. So who you are will actually flow to your work. And number four, you must learn how to think on the go and think on the spot. You must sometimes maybe be spontaneous, which I am about to get to in terms of PR crisis. But I think those are some of the things that are very important. But before we even go to PR crisis, just to wrap that conversation up, so somebody hears this now and says, I want to get serious with the PR for my brand as a person, for my brand or as a business or organization, and they want to get serious with it. So what should they not expect that PR will do for them, either short term or in the long term?
Number one, don't expect that PR will fix a bad brand. It will not.
Really?
So we have the part of PR called reputation management.
Oh.
Okay, I think let me rephrase that.
Okay.
PR is not it's not going to fix your bad product or service. If your product or service is bad, public relations is not going to help. Unfortunately, it will amplify the badness of your product or service, right? So it won't fix it. Secondly, public relations will not, on its own, will not get you sales. I spoke about this before. It won't get you sales because it cannot work in isolation. There are other things that you have to do. So if you say that you want visibility, which is one of the main reasons that people want to work with public relations professionals, you want visibility, public relations will help you generate that visibility. But public relations will not convert that visibility to sales. You also have some work to do. So if after a successful public relations campaign, you were able to get a huge number of visitors to your website, what are you doing on that website? How are you keeping them on that website, right? You have to have something for them, say a lead magnet, for instance. They come to your website and you ask them for their email address, and then they give you their email address for something in return. You also have to follow up with them via emails to say, hey, you connected with our brand. Thank you for connecting. So this, we have this and that. You have to nurture them. Yeah, that's the word. You have to nurture them with your emails so that they can get to the point where they can eventually buy from you. What again now? I'm trying to think.
Okay, maybe if it comes later on, but
Yes,
moving
yes.
on to PR crisis, what should you do when you have a case of PR crisis?
What should you do? The first thing is understand what the situation is. Very, very important. You don't have to, there are some crises that you do not have to respond to. And that's the truth. Understand what the situation is. So is this, how big is this, first of all? What potential risk does it have on my brand? Is it going to affect sales? Is it going to affect our reputation? Is it one of those things that will just blow over and not have a major effect? Because there are actually crises like that just blow over. You don't need to do anything about it. Sometimes all you need to do is be silent. And I would like to give example, but the example that comes to my mind, unfortunately, I can't give it here. So I'll just leave it at that. But there are some crises that you don't have to, you don't even have to touch. You just need to sit and watch, and then watch how it escalates. If it doesn't escalate, just sit it out. And I mean, I think I need to also mention at this point, and something I always say: when in doubt, ask a PR professional, because you also may not entirely know what crisis would you should keep quiet about, and what crisis you should respond to. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that. But when you have a public relations professional, the person can work with you to say, sit this one out, just leave it alone to blow over. Or let's make plans for this possible outcome or that possible outcome. And so when this happens, this is how we respond to it. And when that happens, this is how we respond to it. Yes. When you decide to respond, when you decide that this is the crisis that you must respond to, you have to respond quickly. So if, for instance, there's an explosion, and this explosion was from your organization, or it's due to something that your organization did, you know that you have to respond to this one. You can't help it. Respond as quickly as possible. And when you're responding, your response has to be very honest and transparent. It's also important to note that there are some times that you will not give out the entire detail. And if you give out the entire detail, there's a chance that you probably increase the tension that is already in the air. So you need to know when to hold back on some information, just so that everybody is safe. But of course, you also have to be on top of the rumors. If there are any rumors from this situation that has happened, this crisis, you have to stay on top of it and respond to the rumors as soon as possible, so that it does not create unnecessary panic. It's also important that everybody is not talking to the press. Everybody in the organization is not talking to the press about it. As much as the press wants information, and it's what it is. And I mean, for you that is listening, you need to know that the press thrives on negative news. I mean, negative news is good news. Is good news for the press. I have a background in mass communication, so I can tell you that for free. They want to be the first to break the news. So it's important that everybody is not talking to the press. The only people that are speaking to the press are those that have been given that responsibility, are those that can actually handle those conversations with the press. Very important. It's also important that your communication is clear and not giving room for ambiguity, so that somebody does not see or hear what you say and say, "Oh, I assume that this is what they were trying to say." It has to be clear. They have to understand it. Very straight to the point, right? You also need to take responsibility. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but you need to take responsibility. So where it was your fault, take responsibility for this. And of course, you have to apologize. Apologize. It's a crisis, so apologize. And your apology has to be believable. It has to be reasonable. It has to be an apology that people can actually connect with, not an apology that just seems like, oh, you're just apologizing because you got caught. An apology that is actually very honest. One thing that's also important in managing a crisis is making use of various communication channels. So you don't want to restrict your communication to only social media, only Instagram, for instance. You want to be able to, it's a crisis, so you have to be able to disseminate your information across various channels, across various media, across YouTube,
Different
whatever channels
platforms.
are available to you, so that because that actually gives you a broader platform to share your information, to share the truth, and then makes it possible that people are coming in contact with your truth as soon as possible. Then, of course, monitoring and evaluation so that it does not blow out of proportion. And I think that's about it.
Thank you. That actually is about it right now because we are out of time. Thank you so, yeah. Oh, wait, you're happy that we're out of time? Thank you
You're
so
picking my
much.
brain for free.
Well, we thank you. Now, if people want to keep up with you and find out more what you're about, how can they do that?
So you can reach out to me. My my Instagram handle, my social media handle actually is Beolisa, Beolisa, Olisa, Beeolisa. Business account. Can I give out that? Yes, thank you. Okay, so it's www.prfusions.com. So prfusions.com. And then you can also connect with us on social media at PR Fusions, on Twitter, on Instagram, and everywhere else.
Thank you very much for your time and allowing us pick your brain for free. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Seun. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who's been a part of the conversation. Cruz Wilson, Olubiyi from Igondo, John Udubiyi, my apologies, and everyone who's been a part of it. We appreciate you. You can still find this video on YouTube, by the way. It is youtube.com/smooth91 FM Lagos. Up next is the news right here on Smooth 98.1. Thank you. See, that wasn't so bad. Oh, yeah.